Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show. Delighted to bring you your daily fix of football chat in the company of Alan Rough. And our main talking points tonight: Celtic signed Carlton Cole until 2017, but the main priority for the manager of Celtic, Ronnie Deila, is to try and get 3 points against Molde in the Europa League this evening. We'll discuss that. Plus, we'll discuss one of the all-time greats in world football. Johan Cruyff has been diagnosed with lung cancer. Of a journalistic legend.
The Boot Room, sponsored by Third Dimension Framing.
Yep, Hugh MacDonald of the Herald. And alongside Roughie, we'll have some chat about the new signing for Celtic, which is of course Carlton Cole. He signs a deal until 2017. They had him on trial, Roughie. Now they've got him over the line.
Yeah, and I'm sure everybody at Celtic will be hoping that he produces the goods rather than the 3 or 4 that have been before him. Again, they'll be judged by their signing policy. He's been out of the game for a wee while, but he looks as if he's something that Celtic don't have as a target man, and it just remains to be seen whether he can come up with the goals.
Yeah, one of the things that strikes me about him, got a good touch.
Yeah, and he'll bring people into play, and the way Celtic play that 3 up front, the man in the middle, the focal point is really kind of crucial. But the other thing is they're short numbers up front because, you know, they've got Shifty and they've got Griffiths. Stokes seems to be completely sidelined. So one injury really places them under pressure. So I think
there was a wee suggestion he might have gone to the MLS, but to get a chance to, you know, to play still in British shores with a club like Celtic, in his mind, is what he says influenced him to sign.
Yeah, and the way things are dragging on there, it looks as if there was a bit of to and fro, so it looks as if he's worked himself a right good deal. He's there for a couple of years. I'm sure it'd be better than anything being offered over in America, and I'm sure, you know, that if it all goes well for him, I know he's at an age, I don't know if he would want to move to a bigger club, but certainly he's going to give it a good shot.
Yeah, okay, with regards to Celtic, the team in action in the Europa League, Hugh, we can talk till we're blue in the face about which country has the better standard of football. We're about to find out. The Norwegians think Scottish football's a joke, and certainly over here, the general feeling, I think, is that Celtic can get 6 points from the 2 games. I'm not so sure. I do not know the strength of Norwegian football. Molde are currently mid-table, and of course, you know, they've surprised everybody with their start.
Well, Stefan Johansson certainly thinks you know, that Celtic can get 6 points. The Scottish team can win over there and then win at home. But you have to look at Molde. Molde went to Fenerbahce and won. You know, that's a decent result. I think Celtic's big problem in Europe, in fact, a problem that's existed to a certain extent domestically, is they can't keep the ball out of the net. You know, so if they've lost 2 goals in each of the 2 matches, so if they've got to score 3 tonight to win, that's a very tall order. I mean, what Celtic really need tonight is, you know, a blank sheet, and then they can move on from that, whether it's a 1-0 win, etc. But if you're playing European games needing 3 goals to get you 3 points, it's a very tough ask.
Yeah. Process. Maybe Shumanovic, if he got a start, that would certainly raise the type of player coming in to try and shore up the back line. That's the key for Celtic, I think.
Well, there's no doubt about it. If you go by the 2 games that we saw, Celtic were good enough to beat both the sides, but not good enough to see it be the worrying thing for the supporters and the management as well. If Celtic were winning tonight, you'd still be biting your nails right up until the 90 minutes, because if anything comes into the box, you know, generally it hits the back of the net. So that is something they've got to seriously look at. And if they come away with nothing like that happening, obviously set pieces, balls into the box, then they can build on that for the next game.
Because what you've got to remember, Peter, the reason they're in this competition instead of being in the Champions League is their inability to defend.
Yeah.
Not just in Malmo, which was was, you know, was almost criminal at times. But at Celtic Park in the first leg of that qualifier, where you're cruising, you know, to a victory that's 2 clear goals, and then you give away a terrible goal almost for the last kick of the ball, changes the whole dynamic of that game right around. The whole tie suddenly is back in the melting pot, and it's an incredible amount of money and a incredible amount of prestige just disappears just like that.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the disdain that certain people have for Scottish football, even when you get what I call the classic journalistic line, you know, if Ronnie Dyler makes a success of it here, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, should the English Premier League be looking at him? Yeah. I'm not so sure, you know, I think it's getting tougher and tougher for Scottish players and managers to be even considered for the top flight in England. I mean, George Graham was talking about it only a couple of days ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at Neil Lennon went to went to the market on a CV that included Champions League qualification, included beating Barcelona, and with good tactical nous, beating Barcelona, and that was on his CV. And where did he end up? The Championship, and not a top club in the Championship, a club that was going to be, you know, can they make the playoffs? And we see where they are now. So, I mean, I think I think George Graham made an excellent point about one time that the Scottish manager was preeminent in the world, and now it seems to be that they're bringing in foreign managers. The Premier League, the English Premiership, is full of them.
Yeah, and talking of English Premiership, Roughie, 2 games last night involving the Manchester clubs. There was an interesting point with the Manchester City fans booed the Champions League theme, which has been put in the report to UEFA. Who cares? I mean, surely democracy. If you don't agree with UEFA and you want to boo them, then steam right in.
Yeah, I would like to think that Manchester City will fight that one tooth and nail. I'd like to see how far that actually goes and how you have to prove it. I mean, how do they tell what they were? Okay, the music was on, but they could have been booing anything.
Yeah. I think they were booing the theme, Roughie. I don't think there was any debate about it.
Yeah, but you've still got to prove it. That's the point I'm trying to make. And I don't know how you can.
Yeah, well, I think it's fairly straightforward. You hear the theme, you hear the boos, and you go, yeah, they were definitely booing it. They clearly don't like UEFA, whether it's for the fair play or their treatment and various things. I think they were also unhappy that certain grounds where they were visiting had a ban on certain fans being allowed in the ground, and there was more than a few in there. I don't think they thought the discipline handed out to them at times and the discipline handed out to other clubs has pleased them either. That's another one of their gripes.
Yeah, and the travelling support in England, partly through history and their own fault, to be blunt about it, and travelling support from other countries is certainly treated differently. Any time I've been abroad with English clubs, you can see the different kind of security arrangements made for them. I think it's very noticeable now that fans are now protesting about a lot of things. We're protesting about ticket prices, protesting about the Offensive Behaviour Act in Scotland, and I generally think it's a good thing if fans have a voice in these things and fans say, listen, we're not prepared to be treated like fodder.
It's funny you saying that, Hugh, because that's one thing I do agree with, the treatment that seems to be handed out to certain clubs. I mean, if you lit off a flare in anywhere in Scotland, suddenly there's an inquiry and you're getting a fine.
Yep.
If you come into I can think of Belgrade. You get into Belgrade without a flare and you're getting fined. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's a crazy thing. And the other thing that struck me this week is, again, if the Premier League in England with $1 billion deal can't reduce prices, then there's no hope for any other country. I mean, I know Bayern Munich's fans protested against Arsenal's ticketing.
Aye, well, the Arsenal ticket prices are, the high end. I mean, we saw even English fans protesting. I think last season, at that time, I think some of the tickets were 90 quid to get in and watch a football match. Yeah. I think it's particularly, you can make a case for 90 quid for a football match against, you go and see whatever, a pop group. But when they're actually, getting all that merchandise from the fans, and they're getting the subscriptions for the fans for television, I think that's going over the score. I think there has to be a move in ticketing prices.
Yeah, well, today we had a very humbling day. Roughie and myself answered a call to go out and see a 93-year-old fan, John Lynch. We had a great day with him, and he was reflecting on some of his memories, Roughie, and it was 3 shillings, I think, to get into a game when he was at his peak.
Yeah, he certainly was, and some fantastic memories, and we couldn't stop looking at all the pictures he collected and all the memorabilia and everything, and it was a great day with him and talking about all the great players that Celtic have had, and you could see the smile on his face, how much football meant to him.
Yep, absolutely. It's such a great memory. Even remembered Roughie at his peak as well. I mean, that you're talking about somebody at 93 who's sharp.
That would be the one in the Tanner game when we saw Roughie.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to go out there and chat to a real football fan who remembered when it was for the love of the game. Not that I'm criticising any footballers now that we're watching, but the fans have certainly been voicing their opinions over ticket prices and other things. Coming up, we'll talk about the legend that is Johan Cruyff.
Hi, I'm Chris Sutton. To win this beautiful signed shirt from me, which club did Celtic sign me from?
Hi, I'm Craig Turnbull, and don't forget you can watch the PLZ Soccer News headlines Monday to Friday by clicking on the link below.
Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Football Show. Alan Rough is alongside me, Peter Martin, and in the boot room we have the journalist Hugh MacDonald.
The Boot Room, sponsored by Third Dimension Framing.
Hugh MacDonald alongside Alan Rough. I'm Peter Martin. We're delighted to give you your daily fix of football on STV. One sad bit of news that emerged today was, of course, Johan Cruyff, one of the all-time greats, I think it's fair to say, has been diagnosed with lung cancer. We certainly hope he can win this battle against lung cancer. What a player.
Oh, absolutely, what a player. I mean, if you're talking about, you know, the real top level, he comes into that argument, I think. Privileged to have watched him as well in Glasgow. He's come over here and played, and he's actually come over here and actually did interviews as well, and it was great to interview him once. He's got fantastic views on the game. Not only a great player, but ended up to be one of the most influential coaches ever, because he set down the template for Barcelona. Yeah,
absolutely. And in that area, Roughie, he not only revered, but I think some of the things that he did off the park for the Catalonians was, you know, basically he named one of his kids Jordi at a time when they certainly under General Franco would not tolerate anybody in Catalonia stepping out of line, but he went back home to the Netherlands, named his son Jordi, which I think has something significant to...
Patron saint, George is the patron saint of Catalonia.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. That's, you see, brilliant minds.
Yeah, he was an absolute legend, there's no doubt about it. I don't know about you, whether you agree that I don't think he got the recognition when he was actually playing. And I think we reflected on him, you know, after he moved on, you know, for the international football, because I think he comes under the same category of, you know, we've got Messi and Ronaldo now, and there are a lot of other really good players going about, and they don't get the recognition. I thought he was right up there, you know, but we didn't walk about shouting his name. You know, he's this, he's that. You know, everybody's talking about Maradona and all that. I don't think he got the same acclaim which he should have.
Yeah, I've got him in my top 6, Hugh.
Yep.
Is that fair?
Yeah, well, I think so. In my view, yeah. I mean, I think he's right in, you know, right up top. The thing about him as well was he's so revolutionary. I mean, he Dutch played this total football, and you could see Cruyff could have played anywhere. Cruyff could have played at centre forward, and sometimes did. He could play in either flank. He could play as a playmaker. Goodness, he could play at centre half if we wanted to. I mean, he was so athletic, so, you know, quick as well, and so technically good, but also knew his role in the team. He was a very intelligent footballer.
Yeah, and I always admire a player at a time when it was 1 to 11 that decided, I think I'll wear number 14.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I mean, he made that. I don't know about you growing up, Roughie, but while maybe your mum or dad would maybe make a shirt for your street team because you didn't have a lot of money and they would come up with one, but the one strip that I desperately wanted as a young boy, and it wasn't at a time where strips were accessible on, there was no internet, it was Ajax. It was that, I mean, that just, and again, the epitome of it all was Cruyff.
Yeah, well, what you've said there, it's a total football. They changed the whole of football. You know, every player that in the team could play wherever. You know, and everybody used to sit back and go, wow, you know, you'd centre halves pulling the ball down with their chest and then hitting a 30-yarder, where we'd centre halves, so we're just trying to head it at 40 yards.
Yeah.
And that's what they were like all over the park, and they were a joy to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. There are people sitting in their houses right now, Roughie, on the couch, and they know that you're talking about them. You can header the ball 40 yards, but can't bring it down with your chest. so they know exactly. They're peeved, but they're having to accept it. And of course, it's not many players that have got a bit of skill named after them. The Cruyff turn.
And the Cruyff turn, as we're saying, Cruyff turn almost as famous as the Roughie fumble.
Yes.
It's in the same. It's the same thing. YouTube hits, exact same YouTube hits.
Absolutely.
I mean, that Cruyff thing was just so marvellous when he did it as well. It was like one of those ones. How did he do that? I always remember Redondo, Real Madrid did one at Old Trafford. And you were desperate for that. So people like, why? Just how did he get that round and come out? I mean, and those were the days as well. Was to do a trick was to invite grievous bodily harm as well. Lucky to get out of it. But Cruyff had so much going for him. He had that technical ability. He knew what he was about, and he was an arrogant man as well. You know, he was an arrogant player, and I like that.
Oh, I know you, Hugh. I like a bit of arrogance as well. It's always good. And just on that point, Robbie, you're absolutely right. I looked at some of the stats on him. 3 European Cups, La Liga with Barcelona at a time that it was very difficult for anyone to win the league there. An Eredivisie, not only with Ajax, but with Feyenoord as well at the latter part of his career. World Cup runner-up and the Ballon d'Or winner 3 times. So, you know, he's won so much. Let's hope that he can actually overcome this latest setback. Johan Cruyff, well worthy of a bit of chat from these two guys as well. A couple other things I want to get your thoughts on, lads. And one of them is Dundee United. Mixu Patalini saying today that he thinks the main ambition for United is just to avoid relegation.
Well, that's him just verbalising what everybody really knows. I mean, I think it's interesting that so early in the season he's come out with that. It shows that he's gauged the situation. And we talked last week about how you know, we were a bit sceptical about having a managerial bump with Mixu or Mark McGee, and we were right. I mean, the situation here is pretty grievous. You know, he might get some reinforcements at Christmas, but I think avoiding relegation is a viable priority for them. That's what they've got to do. Yeah,
the games at the weekend, Roughie, of all the games that are taking place in Scotland, I certainly think the one at Tynecastle could be an interesting one. Hearts against Ross County. I mean, Hearts have got a couple of players that are not available to them. Payardo, Oshinawa out of it, but they've got a few other players that could come in now. They've got such a good squad, and I think this is a really good test against a Ross County side that just continue to impress.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Ross County now, and any other time them going to Tynecastle, you would say it'd be a backs to the wall, but now with the run, the confidence that they've got behind them, they'll go there looking for something. And the way they're playing, they've got all the strikers back now, Boyce and Curran and the boy Graham. You know, they've got a 3-pronged attack there. I wouldn't be surprised if they took something out of the game.
Yeah, I think if anything, you know, I've tipped Hearts for top 6. I certainly think I actually tipped them for top 3. Roughie, maybe they've had a few setbacks along the way, but Ross County for you, top 6?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think so, and the reason I think so is not just because they've got the momentum. I think the manager there is a top-notch manager. I really liked him at Queen of the South. I liked watching his teams. I liked the way he went about setting things up. And last Friday, in the living life on the edge in the MacDonald household, I watched the Borussia Dortmund game. But after that, I taped Ross County versus Aberdeen, and I watched Ross County versus Aberdeen, and I was really impressed with Ross County. Ross County could have beaten Aberdeen 3 or 4 last week. Boyce, normally a reliable finisher, missed a couple. And I think everyone's going really well for them. They look a really nice set-up outfit, pacey up front, Graham up front, who ironically is not the quickest, got 2 goals last week, so that'll do his confidence well. So Yeah, I think Ross County are real good contenders for the top 6.
Yep, good game. We were looking forward to it on our show on Saturday, 2 till 6. One other thing that caught my eye today was Alan Stubbs calling on a rethink on international call-ups here, Roughie, because next month in the under-21s he could lose Jason Cummings and John McGinn, and these are at times when they've got crucial games and they're still trying to hunt down Rangers.
Yeah, I know. It's 3 players.
Yeah,
three
three players
you need to cancel the game. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Sometimes players go away in international duty, they come back with wee niggling injuries, and there are clubs have more players than others going away. So certainly it is going to be a tough one for them if they come back with any injuries. So he'll want everybody as fit, but I think it's great representing your country. You can't say no to them.
Yeah, listen, I'm not doubting that for a minute, but this is a critical period. I mean, if Henderson maybe gets called up, then obviously he gets the chance to reschedule the game. But nevertheless, I think he's just highlighting that it's not so much the fact that 2 players are going; it's the fact that they're 2 key players for him.
It's 2 players that are in his starting lineup. There's the player that he relies upon to score the goals, and the player that he relies on to supply the passes to score the goals. I think, and at the moment, Hibs, I've been open about it. I think it's Rangers League. I think the Rangers will win the league, and I think I'm open about it. Alan Stubbs quite rightly wouldn't think that way. Yeah. But it's getting to the stage where they can't afford to drop any further behind. They must. It's essential not only for Hibernian, but I would suggest Alan Stubbs that they finish in the playoff spot. So I think he's got every right to be concerned about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, listen, an absolute joy chatting to Hugh MacDonald, joining Alan Ruff and myself. Just out of curiosity, Ruffy, you give us a prediction for Molde Celtic?
I think Celtic will win this one 2-1.
Okay.
1 each.
1 each. Okay, there's a man using all his experience, just sitting on the fence as most journalists do in these things. If you're watching it at 6:30, you're thinking, shrewd. By the time we get to 10:30 in the repeat, you can laugh at any prediction that we have. Hopefully you enjoyed the programme. Thanks to Hugh MacDonald from Roughie and myself. Join us tomorrow if you can. Good night. Thanks for watching Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like to see more, then why not go on to plzsoccer.com. All our guests from the full series are there, and you can interact with various little competitions that we've got and see some of the other fantastic features in the boot room and Dream Team as well. So click on there, plzsoccer.com, and of course, not only Monday to Friday, Ruffy, we've got much more.
Yes, we certainly have. We have live football right through all the divisions, Scotland and England, 2 to 6.
2 o'clock till 6 on a Saturday. If you want the goals as they hit the back of the net, then click on plzsoccer.com. Thanks for watching.